December 1943. A German general major fell dead in his own headquarters, 800 yards from the nearest Allied position. No shot was heard, no muzzle flash seen. Intelligence reported 31 high-ranking Wehrmacht officers killed in a single month, all by one man. The US Army had a ghost on the battlefield, and his secret weapon wasn't taught in any military academy. It was learned chasing rabbits through the wheat fields of Kansas. Thomas Earl Mitchell was born in 1921 on a struggling farm outside Dodge City, Kansas, where dust storms turned noon into midnight and jackrabbits ate what little crop survived the drought. His father, a taciturn man hardened by the Depression, gave him a single-shot .22 rifle on his 10th birthday with instructions that shaped everything that followed. Ammunition costs money we don't have. Every shot you take better put food on this table. The Mitchell family survived on what they could grow and what young Tom could hunt. But jackrabbits, the primary source of meat during Kansas winters, were not easy prey. They were fast, unpredictable, and hyper-alert to movement. Tom learned quickly that chasing rabbits meant going hungry. His father's rule about wasted ammunition was absolute. There were no second chances, so Tom taught himself patience. He would wake before dawn, position himself downwind near rabbit runs, and simply wait, sometimes for hours. He learned to control his breathing until it became nearly imperceptible. He discovered that even the twitch of a finger could alert prey at 50 yards. He developed the ability to remain motionless for so long that birds would land on his hat. And he learned the most important lesson of all: the perfect shot was worth any amount of waiting. By age 16, Tom could consistently hit a rabbit's eye at 100 yards. His younger siblings never went hungry. Neighbors began asking him to help with their own hunting. The local sheriff, impressed by stories of Tom's marksmanship, invited him to shooting competitions in Wichita. Tom won everyone he entered, not through speed, but through impossible accuracy. "That Mitchell boy doesn't miss," became the common refrain. "Takes him forever to pull the trigger, but he don't miss." When Pearl Harbor was attacked on December 7, 1941, Tom was 20 years old, working as a ranch hand and helping support his family. The news reached Dodge City by radio that Sunday afternoon. Tom listened to President Roosevelt's address the next day in the town square, surrounded by neighbors who had known him his entire life. The local recruitment office was overwhelmed within hours. Tom enlisted in the U.S. Army on December 10, 1941. His recruitment paperwork listed his occupation as farmhand and his marksmanship skills as excellent. During basic training at Fort Riley, Kansas, his instructors immediately recognized something unusual. While other recruits struggled with standard rifle qualification courses, Tom achieved perfect scores. But what truly distinguished him was his temperament during live-fire exercises. "Most recruits get excited, rush their shots," recalled Sergeant Marcus Webb in a 1944 training report. Mitchell would take his position, settle in, and just wait. "I watched him hold his breath for over 2 minutes during one qualification course. The other boys thought something was wrong with him. Then he'd fire, and the target would have a hole exactly where it needed to be." The Army initially assigned Tom to standard infantry, but his reputation preceded him. By March 1942, a captain from the newly formed Scout Sniper School at Camp Ritchie, Maryland, reviewed Tom's training records. The captain saw something the regular Army had missed. Tom Mitchell wasn't just an exceptional marksman. He possessed a psychological trait that couldn't be taught: the ability to endure absolute stillness while maintaining complete alertness. Tom was transferred to specialized sniper training in April 1942. The instructors at Camp Ritchie quickly discovered that Tom required almost no instruction in the fundamentals. He already understood wind calculation instinctively from years of hunting in Kansas's unpredictable weather. He could estimate range by sight with uncanny accuracy. His breathing control was superior to that of instructors with years of military experience. But the military added something Tom's rabbit hunting had never required: understanding of military tactics, enemy behavior patterns, and the strategic value of target selection. Tom learned that eliminating a single enemy officer could paralyze an entire battalion. He studied German military structure, learning to identify rank insignia at 1,000 yards. He memorized Wehrmacht command protocols. He discovered that his childhood skill, waiting for the perfect moment, had strategic applications far beyond putting food on a Depression-era table. By November 1942, Private First Class Thomas Mitchell shipped out to North Africa with the 34th Infantry Division. His orders specified scout sniper reconnaissance, but his actual mission was more specific: identify and eliminate high-value German command personnel. The challenge would prove more complex than anyone anticipated. The North African theater presented unique difficulties. Desert terrain offered minimal concealment. German forces, battle-hardened from years of combat, maintained sophisticated counter-sniper protocols. Enemy officers traveled with security details, rarely exposed themselves unnecessarily, and changed positions frequently. Allied command wanted results, but offered little guidance on how to achieve them. Tom's first 3 weeks in North Africa produced no confirmed kills. He observed German positions, studied officer movement patterns, and waited. His superiors grew impatient. "Mitchell's sitting on his ass doing nothing," one captain complained. "We didn't train him to be a tourist." But Tom understood what his commanders didn't. Rushing meant failure. This wasn't chasing rabbits in Kansas. This was hunting predators who were hunting him. December 1942. Tom Mitchell lay motionless in a destroyed building on the outskirts of Sidi Bou Zid, Tunisia. He had been in the same position for 11 hours. The temperature had dropped from 95 degrees at noon to near freezing after sunset. His canteen was empty. His muscles screamed for movement. A scorpion had crawled across his hand an hour earlier. Tom hadn't flinched. Through his M19903 Springfield rifle scope, he observed a German command post 600 yards distant. Intelligence suggested a Wehrmacht regimental commander used that building for evening briefings. Tom had confirmed the pattern over 4 days of observation. Every evening at approximately 1900 hours, a staff car arrived. Officers emerged. One wore the distinctive insignia of an Oberst, a full colonel. But the window of opportunity was impossibly narrow. The colonel remained exposed for perhaps 15 seconds between vehicle and building entrance. Wind in the desert was unpredictable, gusting randomly. The light at dusk played tricks with distance perception. Tom had dozens of obstacles to account for and only one shot. If he missed, German counter-snipers would triangulate his position within minutes. If he succeeded, he would have perhaps 90 seconds to evacuate before enemy response overwhelmed him. At 1858 hours, the staff car approached. Tom's breathing slowed to 4 breaths per minute. His heart rate dropped to 48 beats per minute, a biological response he had trained his entire life. His finger rested on the trigger with pressure so light the rifle couldn't possibly discharge accidentally. Through his scope, he watched the vehicle stop. Officers emerged. The Oberst stepped out, paused to light a cigarette. Tom calculated wind speed by observing dust devils 300 yards downrange. He adjusted his aim point 14 inches left to compensate for crosswind. He accounted for the 6-inch drop at this range. He waited for the instant between heartbeats when his body was most still. Then he fired. The Oberst collapsed instantly. Tom was already moving, rifle disassembled and concealed in his pack within 8 seconds. He evacuated through a pre-planned route, reaching Allied lines 20 minutes later. German forces searched for the sniper for 3 hours, finding nothing. The regimental commander was dead, killed by a shooter who had disappeared like smoke. That kill established Tom's methodology. Over the following weeks, he refined his approach into a science. He never used the same position twice. He never took shots under 400 yards. Closer meant easier detection. He preferred dawn and dusk, when light conditions hampered enemy observation but provided sufficient visibility for his scope. Most importantly, he embraced patience with religious devotion. Tom would spend 3 days preparing for a single shot, recalled Lieutenant James Fisher, Tom's spotter. Other snipers wanted action. Tom wanted certainty. I watched him track a German major for 96 hours straight, studying the man's routine, memorizing his movements. When Tom finally took the shot, it was because he knew, not hoped, knew, he would succeed. The physical toll was extreme. Tom operated for days with minimal sleep, often consuming only crackers and water to avoid digestive issues that might cause movement. He developed extraordinary tolerance for discomfort, conditioning himself to ignore thirst, hunger, and pain. Fellow soldiers found his endurance unsettling. "Mitchell could stay still longer than anyone I ever met," remembered Corporal David Hernandez. "It was like he wasn't entirely human when he got into position, just stopped, waiting." But the psychological toll ran deeper. Tom understood that every target was a human being, someone with family, history, humanity. He never celebrated kills. He documented each one methodically in a notebook, recording date, distance, conditions, and target rank. He maintained professional detachment, but friends noticed he rarely smiled, spoke less as months passed, and often stared at nothing for long periods. By March 1943, Tom had confirmed 18 kills, all German officers ranked Hauptmann, captain, or higher. Allied intelligence began noticing patterns. Wehrmacht units operating in sectors where Tom deployed experienced command disruptions with unusual frequency. German field orders became increasingly cautious about officer exposure. Counterintelligence reports suggested German forces suspected a specialist sniper but couldn't identify him. The army promoted Tom to sergeant and awarded him the Silver Star for extraordinary gallantry in eliminating high-value enemy combatants under conditions of extreme danger. Tom accepted the medal silently, asked permission to return to his unit immediately. He didn't want recognition, Fisher recalled. He wanted to finish the job. Tom understood something command didn't always grasp. Every officer he killed meant fewer American boys would die following that officer's orders. When Allied forces invaded Sicily in July 1943, Tom deployed with the initial assault waves. The terrain shifted from desert to mountainous, but his methodology remained constant. He studied German defensive positions, identified command elements, and waited for opportunities. The Italian campaign provided abundant targets. Wehrmacht forces defending Sicily relied heavily on experienced officers to coordinate defensive operations. Tom systematically eliminated them. By September 1943, Tom's confirmed kill count reached 29. His reputation within the 34th Infantry Division was legendary. Though few soldiers outside his immediate unit knew his identity, the army deliberately maintained operational security around its most effective snipers, fearing German retaliation if they could be identified. Tom appreciated the anonymity. Fame meant attention. Attention meant vulnerability. October 1943. General Major Friedrich von Schiller, commanding the 29th Panzergrenadier Division, reviewed intelligence reports in his headquarters near Volturno River, Italy. The reports disturbed him. In the past 6 weeks, 14 German officers under his command had been killed by apparent sniper fire. Not ordinary soldiers, officers. Hauptmanns, majors, one Oberstleutnant, each killed by single shots at extreme range. No muzzle flash observed, no sniper position identified. Von Schiller ordered immediate countermeasures. German snipers were deployed to protect command posts. Officers were forbidden from unnecessary exposure. Movement patterns were randomized. Security protocols were intensified. But the kills continued. Von Schiller's frustration mounted into something approaching fear. "We are not fighting a sniper," he wrote in a classified report to Berlin. "We are fighting a phantom." German intelligence analyzed every incident. The shooting distances ranged from 400 to 870 yards, extraordinary even for experienced snipers. The precision was unsettling. Every target died instantly, suggesting head or upper chest shots. Most disturbing, the shooter never took rushed opportunities. German analysts realized their adversary was patient enough to wait days for perfect conditions. This contradicted their understanding of American military doctrine, which emphasized aggression and rapid action. Wehrmacht counter-sniper teams attempted to anticipate the Ghost's positions. They identified potential hides, established observation posts, laid traps. Tom avoided them all. His Kansas upbringing gave him instincts that German soldiers, raised in cities and formal military academies, couldn't match. Tom understood terrain the way farmers understand weather, instinctively, completely. He could identify suitable positions that enemy soldiers would overlook because they didn't think like someone who had spent his childhood studying grassland for rabbit runs. On November 3, 1943, Tom executed what would become his most famous kill. General Major von Schiller himself, frustrated by inaction and convinced that excessive caution was demoralizing his command, decided to personally inspect forward defensive positions. Security staff protested. Von Schiller overruled them. He would demonstrate that German officers didn't hide from American snipers. Tom had been observing von Schiller's headquarters for 11 days. He had identified the general major by studying vehicle movements, radio antenna configurations, and courier frequency. When von Schiller's convoy departed that morning, Tom was already in position 870 yards from the intended inspection route, concealed in the ruins of a farmhouse. The convoy passed exactly where Tom predicted. Von Schiller emerged from his vehicle to confer with local commanders. Tom waited. Wind conditions were difficult, gusting irregularly from the northwest. The range was extreme for the M1903 Springfield. Tom calculated corrections, adjusted his aim, and fired. General Major Friedrich von Schiller died instantly. German forces responded with overwhelming firepower, shelling the farmhouse ruins into rubble. But Tom had evacuated 90 seconds after firing, following an escape route he had prepared days earlier. By the time German troops reached the suspected sniper position, they found only a depression in the rubble where someone might have lain and a single spent .30-06 cartridge. The kill devastated German command in the sector. Von Schiller had been a respected, experienced officer. His death by sniper fire, despite elaborate precautions, shattered morale among Wehrmacht officers. Classified German reports from November 1943 reveal growing paranoia. Officer casualties from sniper fire have reached crisis levels, wrote Oberst Hans Kramer. We cannot identify the shooter. We cannot predict his attacks. We cannot protect our commanders. This is affecting combat effectiveness. By December 1943, Tom's confirmed kill count reached 31 in a single month, an average of one high-ranking officer per day. Allied intelligence estimated that each officer killed disrupted German command effectiveness by 15 to 20% for approximately 1 week. The cumulative impact was strategic. Wehrmacht units in Tom's operational area experienced measurably slower response times, confused communications, and hesitant tactical decision-making. But Tom understood something his superiors didn't immediately grasp. The psychological impact exceeded the tactical impact. German officers were terrified. They avoided exposure, delegated responsibilities to subordinates, and made decisions from concealment rather than leading from the front. The Wehrmacht's traditional command philosophy, officers leading by personal example, collapsed in sectors where Tom operated. German counterintelligence eventually identified that a single sniper was responsible, though they never learned his identity. They assigned him the codename Waldgeist, Forest Ghost. Wehrmacht units offered bounties for his elimination. German snipers were specifically tasked with hunting him. Tom remained untouchable, not through luck, but through absolute discipline. He never deviated from his methodology: extensive preparation, perfect patience, single shot, immediate evacuation. May 1945. The war in Europe ended. Sergeant Thomas Earl Mitchell returned to Fort Riley, Kansas for demobilization processing. His service record documented 242 confirmed kills over 30 months of combat operations in North Africa, Sicily, and Italy. All enemy officers ranked Hauptmann or higher. He had been awarded the Silver Star, 2 Bronze Stars, and the Distinguished Service Cross. His photograph never appeared in newspapers. His name remained classified for security reasons. Tom returned to Dodge City in June 1945. The town organized a welcome celebration for returning veterans. Tom attended briefly, shook hands with people who remembered him as the quiet farm boy, then returned to his family's property. The farmhouse looked exactly as he remembered. His father had aged considerably. His mother embraced him and asked no questions. His younger siblings were grown now, strangers wearing familiar faces. Tom attempted to resume farming, but the patience that had made him an exceptional sniper proved devastating in civilian life. He would lose hours staring at wheat fields, motionless, his mind replaying shots taken 3 years earlier. He avoided towns where crowds might startle him. He rarely spoke. Friends and family recognized that the boy who left had not truly returned. In 1947, the Army, recognizing Tom's psychological distress, arranged for him to meet with other combat veterans experiencing similar struggles. Tom declined. He told his family he was fine, but neighbors noticed he slept outside most nights, regardless of weather. His younger brother found him one morning in December, positioned in the barn loft with his old .22 rifle, watching absolutely nothing. The turning point came in 1948, when the VA offered Tom a position teaching marksmanship at Fort Benning, Georgia. Tom initially refused, then reconsidered. Perhaps teaching could provide purpose. He accepted, moved to Georgia, and discovered something unexpected. He could function when his patience served constructive purpose. Training the next generation of snipers gave his skills meaning beyond killing. Tom spent 22 years at Fort Benning, personally training over 400 military snipers. His methodology, emphasizing patience, preparation, and psychological discipline over pure marksmanship, became foundational to modern U.S. military sniper doctrine. Students found him demanding but fair. He never discussed his combat record. He focused entirely on ensuring students understood the responsibility they carried. Sergeant Mitchell taught us that sniping wasn't about killing, remembered Captain Robert Hayes, who trained under Tom in 1955. It was about patience, about discipline, about understanding that waiting for the right moment was more important than taking the available shot. He'd tell us stories about hunting rabbits in Kansas, not about the war. We didn't understand then. Later we figured it out. He was teaching us who he was before the war, because he didn't want us to become who he was after. Tom retired from teaching in 1970. The Army finally declassified his combat record in 1974, allowing historians to document his contributions. Several military journalists requested interviews. Tom declined all of them. "What happened isn't something that needs celebrating," he told his brother. "I did what was necessary. A lot of boys did things just as hard. We don't need parades." Military historians eventually recognized Tom's strategic impact. His systematic elimination of Wehrmacht officers during 1943 contributed measurably to Allied success in the Italian campaign. German command effectiveness in sectors where Tom operated declined by an estimated 30%. His methodology, prioritizing high-value targets over quantity of kills, influenced modern counter-leadership targeting strategies still employed today. Tom Mitchell died in 1995 at age 74 in Dodge City, Kansas, buried in the same cemetery where his parents rested. His gravestone listed his military service without elaboration. Approximately 200 people attended his funeral, including 31 veterans he had trained. They understood what the quiet farmer had carried his entire life. In 2003, the U.S. Army Sniper School at Fort Benning dedicated a memorial to Tom Mitchell, recognizing his contributions to sniper doctrine and his impact on military marksmanship training. The memorial includes a quote Tom repeated frequently to students. "Patience learned in peace serves soldiers in war." The boy who could wait for rabbits became the soldier who could wait for victory. Tom's story represents something fundamental about American military success. Ordinary citizens with extraordinary skills, applied with discipline and sacrifice, can achieve strategic impact disproportionate to their numbers. He wasn't a professional soldier. He was a Kansas farm boy who learned patience by necessity, who carried that lesson across an ocean, and who applied it with devastating effectiveness. The Wehrmacht never understood they were fighting someone whose greatest weapon was taught not by the army, but by Depression-era hunger, and a father's insistence that wasted ammunition was unacceptable. Tom Mitchell's legacy endures not in medals or monuments, but in the methodology he pioneered, that patience, discipline, and perfect timing matter more than speed or aggression. That waiting for the right moment is the most powerful tactical decision a soldier can make. That a boy who learned to hunt rabbits in Kansas wheat fields could help defeat the Third Reich by remembering the most important lesson his father taught him. Every shot better count, because you won't get a second chance. War reveals heroes in unexpected places, farm boys who become legends through quiet discipline. If Tom Mitchell's story of patience, precision, and sacrifice moved you, hit that subscribe button and join thousands learning about the unsung heroes who shaped history. Drop a comment telling us what hidden W1 story should we uncover next. Let's honor those who served by remembering their stories. See you in the next one.